Welcome to DocTalk with your host, Brent Leavitt. And DocTalk with Brent is sponsored by Battleborn Financial.
Welcome back to DocTalk. I am Brent Leavitt, owner of Battleborn Financial Advisor and Health Insurance Brokerage here in Pahrump, Nevada, and also we have offices in Las Vegas. We are here learning about healthcare in Southern Nevada, particularly in Pahrump, and we're here joined today with Schadrey Bonds with P3 Medical Group. P3 has been here in Pahrump for just a few years. They are a phenomenal group. They're located off of Lola next to the hospital, Dallas Desert Hospital, right next door to it. And Schadrey is actually a nurse practitioner, right? Is that correct there?
Yeah.
And how long have you been a nurse practitioner for, and how long you work for P3? And tell us a little bit about your history and stuff.
So I've worked for P3 since they were conceived, so a little over 2.5 years. I've been a nurse practitioner for more than 6 years at this point, in the Valley, always in Las Vegas or Southern Nevada, Pahrump. I've been in Pahrump for about 2 years, and it's been great.
Yeah, we'd love to have you here. I've heard nothing but good things about you.
Thank
All
you.
the patients and stuff like that. It's great to work with you and things like that. And P3, when they first came out here, just the story about a couple of years ago, in Pahrump, especially Nye County, the very first plan that the Medicare HMO plan they were able to take was the Senior Care Plus plan. That was the first year they came out with and uses that P3 network. Although Vegas and Clark County, they actually had access to a few more plans and things like that. In Nye County, we only had one plan. And then this last year for 2020, kind of seems like forever ago now with the COVID stuff.
It's so fast, yes.
So fast. But we've actually been able to they have now 4 different plans here in Nye County that they actually accept. Mostly like Senior Care Plus still. They also have Select Health on the Medicare side. And then we also gained Allwell, which is a Centene product, and then Aetna uses that network as well. Although we found that, Allwell and Aetna, their specialist network is a little bit different than the other two. They still work with the P3 network.
Absolutely.
And then also with P3, on the under 65 stuff, we do a lot of individual products, things like that. They've been phenomenal working with all the carriers. The very first one I remember they contracted with was Health Plan of Nevada. They work with them. They also work with Ambetter. They're one of the few providers we have with Ambetter out here. And then they also, they're always working with a lot of commercial plans, I believe. And also you guys take the original Medicare and Medicaid and all that.
Yes, we do.
And the cool thing about Schadrey over here, you mentioned that you work with all patients. Of what ages do you work with your patients?
So I'm a family nurse practitioner, so I can see, patients from 0 to 99 and above. We have some that are older than 99. Our clinic mostly specializes in geriatric care. We focus on the Pahrump senior population, but we have quite a few younger patients. So it's great to have a mixed population.
And those guys go to you mostly. I think Dr. Harding's more who's also in that office as well. He works more in the older clientele,
The younger ones tend to kind of fall to my side, but he has a few younger patients too. Yeah.
And the cool thing I like about you too, you mentioned you grew up, we would have gone to the same high school even. It was kind of cool. You would have gone to Rancho High School in Vegas, and we grew up in the same, you're up in Vegas and you're born and raised out here. You understand this town and really great and things like that. Even you said you went to Southern Nevada community. Oh, it's not Community College of Southern Nevada. It's College of Southern Nevada now.
It's now College of Southern Nevada.
Sorry, for us,
changed
grew
a
up
couple
here.
times.
It's hard for me to wrap my head around it. That's right. I went to CCSN when I was out of high school too, and things like that. But yeah, and you grew up here and you went to school, got your nursing license, and then became a nurse practitioner. Even that's phenomenal as well. The other things I want to talk about, I know P3, they give me like a list of talking points, like make sure we talk about these things, but about patient hair, things like that. People, they talk about P3. P3 is not a charmed TV show. It actually stands for, what does it stand for, P3? What's the P?
It's people, passion, and purpose. And those are our 3 Ps that guide our care.
Yeah, why is that? Is that just something?
Well, a lot of times working in medicine with big corporate companies, we kind of get away from the root of what medicine is for. And so this was kind of designed to get us back to focus on what we're here for. We're here for the people. We're here because we have a passion to practice medicine, and purpose. Everyone needs purpose in life. And a lot of time medical providers, we start with the purpose and we get burnt out or we lose that. So having that in our name kind of calls us back to that.
Yeah. I remember the founders of P3. I went to a lot of seminars and stuff when you guys first coming out. I remember the founders were some of the original founders of P3 are the same people that started Healthcare Partners originally back in the day. And a lot of them were talking about the fact that they just want to get back to those roots and allow practitioners really to work on their own and allow them to to not say, well, you only have so many minutes with the patient, you can only do X, Y, Z. Keep it a little bit more free and be able to see them. And that's one thing I've enjoyed working with them. It's like understanding that passion they have and that desire to work and not have you guys handcuffed of like what you can do, what you can't do, what you can say, and things like that. And we also talked about before the meeting, we were talking about the fact that P3 actually is like a semi-urgent care too, because allow Monday through Friday, you guys allow walk-ins in the morning, 8 to 9.
Yes.
Even if you really need to, they'll get you in a little bit later as well.
We're very flexible in the office, and we have same-day appointments, and then we also have pretty open access to patients who need to be seen.
That's the biggest, I think, frustration everybody has in this town. It's like, I want to see my doctor. Maybe I just don't really want to go because, number one, I don't want to go to urgent care and sit around forever and see something I don't even know, getting sicker by the minute with everybody else. But I can also call P3 and say, hey, I can actually get to see you and see Schadrey. It's like, hey, I want to really see Schadrey Bonds there real quick and be able to get in and see you. And it's they're accessible and things like that. And the cool thing is your insurance will take it. So if you have questions about your insurance, again, call my office. I'll put the number up there again, the 764-2252. You can also make an appointment online on my website if you want to talk about your health insurance. That way you can make sure your plans, if you're like, hey, I've seen Schadrey already, or I want to see her and continue to see her, you can continue to have that option. We can get you with the right insurance plan. Far too often I find people that come to my office, they're like, they saw some other broker, they saw some ad online, they bought the plan, they're like, oh, I got this other plan and I can't see my doctor anymore, so I have to switch it. And it's like, that's the toughest thing, where it's like, you got to change your care, middle of treatment, things like that. And you want to find the right doctor for you. And that's one thing we do at our office at Battleborn Financial. And you can give us a call there on the website, and battlebornfinancialadvisor.com, you can make an appointment there. If you want to call the office over at P3, put their number up on the board as well. They have a number here. It's the 775-505-0810. Give them a call. And you also they're on their website, p3hp.org. The 3, it's an actual number 3. And HP stands for Health Partners. And so it's p3healthpartners.org. And they have a bunch of lists of doctors that you can see. Now, the cool thing about P3, not only are they physicians that work for P3, just like the one off of Lola Lane, they also have a lot of affiliate physicians as well.
Right.
In fact, our last one, we had like Renee Goodhart. She was here. She's actually affiliate with P3. And then we also have Dr. Craig, who's also part of that affiliation here in Pahrump. And then they're always adding more. In fact, I think we even have Spring Mountain Medical actually is a part of affiliate of them as well. And then we also have who's been on our show. And then I think there's in fact, they just added a new cardiologist on the plan as well here in town.
Yes.
And he was our lovely Dr. Eric that we got to meet here recently on the show as well. So great things coming with P3 and what they do. Is there anything you want to add that I've missed or things like that we talked about?
No, I think you covered it. We believe in access and we believe in variety. Not every provider is right for every patient. So having affiliates is important to us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And understand that, getting access to care. And now if somebody's going to an affiliate, now if they have some urgent matters, things like that, can they still use your P3 office kind of to go there as well for some urgent matters?
Yes. They just need to give us a call and kind of let us know they're coming in and things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, maybe you're on the P3 plan, maybe you're seeing one of those other physicians, but it's like, maybe they're a little difficult to get a hold of. Although I might argue some of those, they'll usually get you in. Those primary cares are pretty good. But I know that they have that access to you as well. And a lot of times we were talking about, I know a lot of people like we have an urgent care here in town with Intermountain Healthcare. I got to make sure I correct that right. A lot of the plans used to not have access to that Intermountain Healthcare network, but now they're starting to open that up a little bit more, and urgent care is there. But the cool thing about from the get-go, that P3 doctor group right there up next to the hospital has always been doors open. We want to accept patients with open arms.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing I really love. And when you go in there as a patient, it looks like an old double wide building, but it's like they've redone the inside, like they completely gutted it, make it look nice and pretty. It's like nice and clean. We walk in, makes you just feel like very comfortable and at ease. The lighting, they did a good job with the lighting, things like that. When I go to the doctor, I always want to make sure I feel like, sometimes I always feel like, oh, is this going to be a weird big place? It feels like it's got the weird smells and stuff like that. I always say that kind of oddly, but going to see a doctor, you want to feel comfortable and feel like you're in a good environment. And that office definitely makes me feel comfortable when you walk in there. And things like that.
It's definitely got some personal touches. There's some family pictures on the wall and things like that. It's not the sterile environment that you picture when you're describing a doctor's office.
Yeah, but it is very clean. And I think we've talked in the last couple episodes of all the physicians. It's like during this COVID-19 timeframe, the biggest fear that we have is taking care of your health. And people think like, oh, I'm too afraid to go to the doctor. And in fact, most of the plans that they take, pretty much all the Medicare plans, it's a zero copay to see you guys. Like, it
Indeed.
doesn't cost you a dime. I mean, they probably don't have to take much money. And if you choose to go annual physicals, like you're on Ambed or HPN, the annual checkups and stuff, a lot of the preventive medicines are no cost. And HPN and Ambed will actually give you cash if you do those things. I don't know if you know this, but they give you like a little Visa card if you do them. Especially Ambed, it's like, hey, you did this wellness stuff, and they'll send you a little gift card. You're like, what's this for?
Yeah, they bring you a little form in, and we get it all filled out for you, and they give you a little incentive to do that.
Exactly.
So.
And then you have a little money to use for your co-pays for next time if you are sick, or if you need to pay for those labs or whatever you need to pay for and things like that. So it's like you're not disincentivized to go see the P3 doctors. And the cool thing about P3, and not just talking to you just quickly, is you understand those plans. It sounds like better than a lot of primary care doctors I've met with. You know about authorizations, getting referrals sent in.
Yeah.
I think the biggest fear I always have, especially putting somebody like on an HPN plan or something like that, is my fear is that primary care doctor might have a primary contract, but then the frustration comes that primary care doctor doesn't submit the referrals correctly, and they're telling me and complaining, this insurance is the worst in the world because I can't see a doctor. My primary keeps giving me referrals to the places that don't take this insurance. I'm like, the insurance has plenty of contracts with doctors to take it. It's just the primary care doctor just is frustrating me because they're not submitting referrals correctly.
Yeah.
And I think with P3, they understand that and have good relationships, even though sometimes I know they get their own frustrations with it. But you understand those processes and make sure they get the right people versus the wrong people.
Yeah,
And
navigating those contracts can be a little bit hairy, but we got a good ground understanding of it, and we can get you to where you need to go.
Exactly, and you actually pay attention to what they're bringing to you versus just saying, "Oh, you're just another person coming in." They get to know you personally as a patient versus just you're another tick on the checkbox. You know, okay, I saw you this week. You know.
I'm so impressed with our office and everyone there. Like all of our staff know all of our patients by name. When they pull up in the car they drive, oh, so and so's coming through the door. You know, we meet them in the parking lot. Things like this. It's impressive.
Yeah, that's quite amazing. And it's like going to everyone knows your name, right? Like
Yeah,
cheers.
yeah, absolutely.
Go to P3, right? Everybody knows your name, right? So yeah. So I'm going to put those up on the board. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to talk a little bit about what we always do in the second half. We talk a little bit about taking care of your health, how to be a little bit better. We'll talk about some diabetes management, things like that, and helping you out and recognizing signs. So come back again, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
We will return with more Doc Talk after these messages. Welcome to Doc Talk with your host, Brent Leavitt. And Doc Talk with Brent is sponsored by Battleborn Financial.
We're here today with Schadrey Bonds with P3 Medical Group. Just a reminder that I'm here. Doc Talk's a great segment. We talk about doctors and primary care in this wonderful town in Pahrump in Southern Nevada. And as we expand, this actually show is airing in Vegas too, Channel 25. So you should know where you're on right now. Check it out. But it's wonderful that we're out here. Schadrey, though, she actually lives in Vegas, but she comes out here to Pahrump. She's been out here for a couple years. She's actually worked at another provider here and then switched over to P3 2.5 years ago. And so she's been out here for quite a while, helping the people of Pahrump and helping us get better primary care. And we talked a little bit about who P3 is, what kind of stuff they do, what the insurances they take. Just to recap a little bit, if you have questions about your insurance and making sure you want to see P3 providers, call my office, Battleborn Financial Advisor. We actually have another quick, it's not on there, but battlebornins.com if you want to get to the quick link to the calendar and get an appointment. We do virtual visits as well as regular visits in person at their office, although we make sure that we only do one person at a time because we got to make sure we're keeping ourselves safe, you safe. And then also that we can help you out with that. Call our office, the 764-2252, and make an appointment. And then if you want to get an appointment with P3, make sure we put their number up there, p3hp.org. And they also do virtual visits too. Are you guys not doing some virtual stuff?
We do telemedicine visits where we kind of have you on a video and you can see us on a video and we can look at certain things, even rashes or come across some video okay. And we can do most of your care that way. There are things that we absolutely have to see in person, and I prefer to see my patients in person. But we definitely are flexible.
Yeah. And are you guys using specific software? Or are you guys kind of open to a lot of different platforms? What are you guys doing for the virtual visits?
So in order to stay HIPAA compliant, we do stick with one software, but it is super user friendly. It's a matter of a quick link on a web. You don't have to download an app or anything. It's called Hail. You get a text message or an email, whichever you prefer, and you click the hyperlink, and there you are in your virtual doctor's office.
Yeah, so it's easy.
It's great.
Yeah, and the nice thing is you guys are HIPAA. I've had some providers I've seen that are just kind of using any platform, things like that. But it's good you guys are keeping up with that and making it simple for them.
Yes.
The biggest hurdle is a lot of these HIPAA compliance stuff has been like, gotta click here, click there, click that, and then it's like you're just kind of like, I just want to see my doctor. Fumbling with your phone, especially if you're like, a lot of people if they're technologically not savvy, it's harder to figure those out, especially if all you have is an iPhone or something like that. You got to figure those out.
Yeah, and even people who are tech savvy, when you have to click this and give permission for that, it gets a little bit overwhelming. So one click and ta-da.
Yeah, you're seeing your doctor. And they actually get to see you on those virtual visits
too? They get to see us. They see our full face. They see our office background and everything, and they can show us anything. We can show them paperwork or their labs. Some people are very visual learners, so seeing their numbers on the screen is helpful for them, so they can see all that.
Yeah, and so you have to worry about, hey, I don't want to go in and see them. Or it's just like, I don't want to get sick. Or maybe the rash. Sometimes I know coming in with a rash is kind of difficult. You don't want to be spreading it to everybody else in the office. So on the virtual visit, it's kind of nice to say, yeah, it's kind of a weird red thing on my skin. And a lot of people think that, that's one reason why we have primary care doctors too, is we want to make sure we get to the root of the problem. A lot of times you think of like a rash, people think, oh, I need to see my dermatologist. Well, that rash may be unrelated to the dermatology stuff. And so having your primary care doctor there to say, hey, what is this? Is this maybe, you might be able to say, maybe that's just an allergic reaction to something you ate. Or in reality, it's like, oh, I don't need to see the dermatologist because it was something internal, not external, whatever it was. And you're a family medicine practitioner, so that means you handle everybody of all ages, things like that.
Yes.
So really just kind of see you and say, hey, let's get to know you and help us with our family problems. And then if they need to come see you, that you can be like, hey, just schedule an appointment to come in the office. And it's very clean and easy to access too. I mean, right next to the hospital. So if it's something super serious, it's like, we got to get you to the emergency room right away. It's like, let's just walk across the street.
We do. We just walk right across the street on a gurney or in a wheelchair, and there you are.
Yeah. So it's not like you're having to drive across town to even get there. It's kind of like it's easy access, all one spot. And in the hospital there too, they even have like a lot of radiology stuff. You got desert radiology right there in the hospital and all sorts of different things. So it's easier for tests and stuff. And I think you guys even have a phlebotomist that comes out, don't you, in your office too?
We do labs in our office. We have a phlebotomist 3 days a week, and then our staff is able to do our labs too. So we have 5-day-a-week lab. Yeah,
that's one thing that's always frustrating is some other providers. You got to go across the way. You got to go like all the way to the place and get the labs done. And then it's like, I end up just not doing my lab sometimes because I'm like, oh, I forgot all about it, and just keep kicking down the line. You go there and it's like, yeah, I can actually get the lab done, just get it done and out of the way.
Yeah.
And you guys send it off to like all the different labs, and you guys know all your insurances and who takes what. It's like, especially P3, especially on a pure P3 plan, such like Senior Care Plus or Select Health, those you actually have access to like CPL labs and stuff, and you guys send them off over there for you, which is cool. Although some of their insurances use other ones like Quest and LabCorp and things like that, but you guys will send it to the right places. You're not worried about getting balanced billed.
We'll do all that footwork for you. Yeah. You just have to come in.
Just actually make the appointment. So we talk about disease management too. Is the biggest thing you mentioned? We have a lot of people here in Pahrump. We have a lot of health issues. I don't know if it's just because people move here because they're in other locations where it was difficult and they come to Pahrump because of the desert. Maybe it's better for your health, but those things just don't go away. And then also it's just, we're stuck in our homes and maybe we're eating a lot more junk food now, whatever it is, but we need to pay attention to those things. Yeah. Are there some certain signs we should probably look at, especially when it comes to looking at diabetes or just having difficulties with maybe why we want to see the doctor?
So as far as diabetes goes, you want to be aware of we call it the 3 Ps: your thirst, your hunger, and kind of how often you're urinating. Those are our biggest clues of a new onset diabetic. if you're experiencing any changes in these things or any abnormal thirst, we encourage you to come in because we need to get to the bottom root of that. As you said earlier, sometimes a rash isn't, is just a rash and it's an allergic reaction, and other times it's an outward expression of a complicated disease process like diabetes, and so
Yeah.
that's where we come in.
Yep. So it's so you want to make sure we get a phone call and see the doctor. I know, like, one thing I've started doing, especially more as I've done these interviews, it's kind of opened my eyes. And also since I've started doing insurance, health insurance stuff, I'm like, hey, health insurance plans pay 100% of your preventative visit every year. Like, I always, my deal is right before fourth quarter starts. It's like I'm getting my appointment with my primary. I'm getting to see them, get my labs just to check them out and say, hey, is everything good? Because you never know what's going to happen in life. And so it's like important to do those things and don't feel afraid to it, and just get to know and say, hey, wait a minute, it's just, are my lipids good, or is my cholesterol okay? What am I doing with my life? And just want to make sure I'm on the right track. And if not, you can early detect that and say, wait a minute, you need to fix your diet a little bit.
Absolutely. And all of the health plans have that, including just regular Medicare has
Yeah.
an annual wellness once a year that they pay for 100%.
Yeah.
So there's very little barrier to getting those screening tests done.
Yeah, just make sure you schedule it up, and you can call P3 right now on the phone, p3hp.org, and then their phone number, they're 505-0810, and get an appointment with them and say, hey, I want to be able to get in there and schedule that annual physical.
Right.
Another things we talk about, like if you do, let's say you do have diabetes, something we don't think about is our feet. And it's kind of a weird thing to talk about, why do I need to look at my feet? Why do diabetics care about their feet,
So one of the big things that diabetics suffer from is the reduced sensation in their feet. You might hear it called neuropathy, or you might have peripheral vascular disease, reduced circulation in your feet. Those two things together put you at increased risk of wounds of your feet or other disorders of the nail, which can cause infection or other problems, which can lead to amputation. And so early surveillance of the feet, looking at your feet on a regular interval and having your doctor look at your feet on a regular interval is super important to preventing amputations of your feet. And nobody wants to buy one shoe at a time. So
Yeah, that's kind of not very fun, especially if you're going to lose your feet and things like
you
that.
have to pay full price for the pair.
So what happens if, like, or you can go on, like, trying to use ones? No, that's even more. Look at that. But in fact, but with that being said, though, is making sure you keep track of that stuff. And you guys do that at the office too.
Yes,
Your
yes.
foot exams. People think, oh, I got to go to the podiatrist and stuff like that too, but you can actually get a lot of that done here.
Yeah, so we
Things
check
like that.
circulation and pulses and sensation of your feet in the office, and we do that at regular intervals if you're known diabetic. And then if we see a problem that requires a specialist attention, we'll get you over to the podiatrist.
Yeah, and actually, a lot of the HMO plans that you guys take, they provide free trips to Europe visit, because a lot of times podiatrists, we have some specialists that unfortunately don't always come out here, but you got to go to Vegas for. But you can actually call your plan and get a free visit. They'll actually pick you up and take you to your doctor in Las Vegas if that needs to be the case, at no cost to you. There are a couple plans that don't do that, so I know Aetna unfortunately does not offer those trips, but the other carriers all do offer the free trips and stuff like that. So that's kind of a nice thing to have, that ability to do that and get to see your doctors without worrying about, man, I got to schedule a big visit all the way down to Vegas or whatever I need to get done. One thing about the good and bad of living so close to a metropolitan area is we do kind of got to go to Vegas for a lot of different things. But here in Pahrump, we do have phenomenal primary care to make sure that we're taken care of. And we have quite a few nice specialists. We talked to, like, Dr. Eric, who's just a phenomenal cardiology and has these great imaging programs like you never thought we'd have in a little tiny town. I think he's one of the few that has some of this equipment that not even Vegas has.
Sure.
It's kind of amazing what we get here. So with that being said, again, just if you have questions about, insurance and taking care of your body, call our office, things like that. And I want to say too, a lot of the P3 plans that they take, especially like Select Health, they have these things called special needs plans. And those special needs plans actually provide you with a lot of zero copays for even some of your insulins. I thought that's a phenomenal thing where it's like, man, I'm worried about my insulin being super expensive and keep track of my diabetes. It's like, I'd rather just not take it at $47 a piece. But a lot of these plans, like if you get the right insulins, it's actually zero copay, which is phenomenal. Even for breathing stuff, some of the inhalers they even cover, some of the special needs plans, be like COPD and chronic lung stuff, they cover those at zero cost too, which helps you as a patient make sure you get the care they need. And at P3, they understand how to get you those plans, get the right medications, and look at alternatives and stuff too.
Yeah, it definitely helps the patient, but it helps us too. It helps us care for the patient because, we can recommend something, but if they can't get it, then it's not going to work.
Okay.
So it definitely is a good feature for
Awesome.
a lot of patients.
Yeah, thank you so much. And Schadrey, you're so wonderful. Thank you so much for being here, for serving the town of Pahrump and things like that, and coming all the way out here to service us and take care of our healthcare needs. We're going to end our episode, and hopefully you guys come back next week. Again, check us out online, Battleborn Financial, and even p3hp.org. Thanks so much, and we will see you next week.